What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how to choose your perfect Valorant main. For those of you who jump back and forth, are struggling with the character you're picking, or you just can't make up your mind, this is the perfect video for you to find that perfect Valorant main that you're going to be able to climb all the way to the higher ranks with and beyond. So let's jump right into it. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced guides over every single character main you could possibly pick. We got tons of in-depth content and step-by-step guides and VOD reviews just for you that you got to go check out down below right now. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, the first and maybe most important thing that you need to think about when you are trying to choose that Valorant main that you are going to be sticking with for quite some time and mastering fully, and it's called the axis of skill. And what I mean by that is, this is the axis of skill that you want to primarily focus on, and you need to find a character that is going to fit your type of skill that you really want to go above and beyond with. Now, there's a game sense type and a mechanical type. Let's talk about the different branches of each of these. So like game sense would be things like knowledge. You're going to outlearn the enemy. You're going to know more about your character or the game than the enemy, and you're going to have a character that can utilize that. Think about a rollout. So a character like Sova with 1,000,000 rollouts you could learn, that would be a knowledge-based game sense that you can go out of game learn, and then you could directly apply that to in-game performance boosts. Let's talk about the game sense of tempo. This could be even something like a duelist, just simply understanding how to engage, how to catch enemies off guard, and knowing how enemies are gonna rotate. That could be a game sense oriented axis of skill. Someone like Tense, for instance, might have insane mechanical type of skill, but he really catches a lot of enemies off guard with his great game sense understanding of tempo. Now, the last thing in the game sense category would be prediction, and this is just being able to have a character where if you can make really bold predictions, you can kind of predict where enemies are going to go. You could set up defensively, you could set up nanoswarms, you could set up rollouts, you could do all sorts of Cypher and Killjoy tech to basically completely shut them down. There's a lot you can do based on prediction, and this is going to be far more passive, so you're going to need a character that really, plays into that strength. Now, the next one is mechanical, so it's like a weapon preference is the first one. Like there's some characters that could utilize different weapons better. A character like Jett, for instance, is going to be primarily an opper. So if you really want to play the op, you're going to be wanting to probably pick Jett or some of the other characters that can opt in different games like Killjoy or something like that. A speed preference is another, depending on how fast you want to play. Do you want to be someone that is really passive and slow, someone like Sage playing in the back line, or do you want to be an entry, someone on the front line, someone always fishing for kills? Then maybe someone like Phoenix would be far better for you than a much more passive character, and that could be fast versus slow play, and it's going to really help you decide how to pick your main from that. Now, the next thing that you need to be thinking about is the playstyle. What do you want your predominant playstyle to be? Now, you're gonna always have to incorporate all these playstyles, right? The lurk, the slow default, the sometimes entry, not really for every character, but maybe if they die. Sniping is on specific characters, and there's gonna be differences between defense and attack. But some characters are gonna be able to do certain types of playstyles more. For instance, there are some characters that are going to be able to pull off a lurk far better. Not necessarily an entry character, someone like a Phoenix that wants to get on the front line, but maybe like a secondary duelist, someone like a Yoru, or even an Omen who could smoke for his team and then find a cheeky lurk angle. That would be a character where you get to lurk a lot more, so if you really love lurking, that might be the perfect character for you to pick. Maybe if you're a character that loves to play slow default, you want to play a Sentinel that on attack, you play back with your team, you play extremely slow. You're never the first one to get in, but you're always the first one to clutch up. You're going to be put in a lot of clutch scenarios because your team's going to die a lot and you're playing towards the back of the pack. And there's going to be a large percentage of the time where you're in these high pressure scenarios where you have to close out the round. And if you like that, then maybe that is what you want to be playing. Entry, of course, playing different types of duelists that can take space aggressively. And if you really like to do that, you really like to be the first in, you like to get shit done, you don't like it for your team to just stand in the choke, do nothing, maybe you want to take matters into your own hands and pick up that entry. And of course, this is going to change between defense and attack. So it's important to understand the predominant play style of different characters and think about what you want to be doing more of in any given round. Now, of course, we got to talk about character tools. What tools on your character do you want to have? Do you want to have flashes? Do you like enemies being blind, being able to take corridors, being able to stop ops, or being able to kill an enemy when they can't do anything about it? What about mobility? Are you a big fan of being able to either engage with your mobility, like do some crazy bounces in with raise and really get up on an enemy, or maybe evasion, like Reyna's type of mobility where she kind of gets to get a kill and then has an escape, and that's a different type of mobility that some people really love because they like to take really aggressive positions trying to fish for that kill and then have a way to get out of that scenario, and that's something they can get away with if they're playing a character like that. Or maybe you want to be more strategic, you want to think more about the overall game, find that information, and you want to play characters that, you know, gain that information. A character like Skye, for instance, with her flashes can gather information, or Sova with his recon and drone. Stall, you know, characters that can stall up points, characters like Cypher, characters like Killjoy, Astra, Sage, the list goes on and on. This is going to slow down your overall games. Less quick engages by the enemy because you're going to be able to prevent that and have a lot more time to take engagements, you know, step by step. AoE, so you don't get killed by a freaking shotgun corner camper, and you have a lot more ability to dictate your engagements where you're not just peeking onto a point and challenging many angles at once. You get to clear out multiple angles, and that's gonna make it so you have a lot more clean engagements that you set up personally. And then last up is LOS or smokes. This is going to be one of those like team-centered abilities that really help improve your understanding of the game, 1, and 2 is going to create a lot less non-games where you have always that consistency with the smoking involved. You're not going to make it so there's always like an angle that is unsmoked and you're just getting rolled by that, and every single team always needs a controller, so that could be a role that you can fill and make sure that if you're a main, you're always gonna have a certain amount of stability in your games. Now, the next thing that we gotta talk about is role, and there's different roles, of course, initiator, sentinel, duelist, and controller, but it is important for you to understand that not all roles in a given category will play similar, and it's very likely that just because you play as one character or one main as like an initiator, you could easily have a secondary main or a secondary fill character in the sentinel role. Now, what you do need to take note of though is general play patterns, like what do you like to play and do in your character? What is it about your character that you love so much? And you need to be finding a character that you really love, you know, the menial things. There are some characters that you have to do something every single round, right? If you're Cypher, you have to set up your one ways, you have to set up your trips, and you gotta do that every single round over and over and over again. And if you get tired of it after doing it a couple times, you're not gonna wanna main that character. If you get tired of learning the rollouts for Sova or making sure that you're consistently doing the rollouts correctly, if you don't like that, then you can't be playing that character. There's a lot of setup with a lot of different characters, and you gotta remember that it's not gonna just be a couple times you have to do this. You're gonna have to do this every single game the entire time you're playing this character. And if you ever get lazy, you're leaving value on the table. So learn that general play pattern, learn the character that you like, and take note of other characters that are similar, so maybe that can be a fill character in case your main gets picked up. And then make sure that you're picking a character that you're gonna enjoy playing, you're enjoying the regular gameplay of that character for a long period of time. You're not gonna get tired of it. Now, let's break down a couple of examples of skills that you have and ways you wanna play the game, and I'm gonna give you some examples of characters that you could hypothetically pick up. Let's say that you want to learn extensive out-of-game knowledge. You just wanna learn as much as you can about the game, and you wanna make sure that if you go above and beyond with researching and learning and memorizing all these intricate things, you can directly turn that into 1 round, and that would of course be Sova. We talked about him before. He has such a high skill learning cap that you can really just outlearn so many people, and you can get a ton of free rounds and value just off of that knowledge alone. And it's a completely different axis of learning than like mechanical skill, which takes a whole bunch of reps. It's more like being studious with the game. Let's say you want a really high mobility ceiling. You want to fly the freak around, and you want to have the potential to style on people, fly around, get to angles that no one else thought you could. You could play Raze, who has a very interesting mobility mechanic. Now, you want to be aim dependent. You want the majority of your wins and losses or your fights to be based on your mechanical skill, and you want to put a lot of pressure on that. Then Reyna might be the perfect character for you because she has abilities that enable her mechanical skill even more, and it's very dependent on her mechanical skill. And let's say last up, you want to be reactionary. You want to outplay people not with your mechanical skill but with your mind, and you want to play slow, not rush things. You're okay with taking your time, you're okay with gathering information, and you want people to make a mistake into you that you could punish them for. That would be a Cypher. Cypher would be an amazing character for that. So you just gotta think about, what do you want out of Valorant? How do you want to play? Now, there's gonna be some things that all characters have to do, right? Every character's gonna have to refrag. Every character's gonna have to be able to use gun and gunplay. I'm not saying you don't have to do that on some characters, but you get to pick the type of play, and you could find a character that matches that, that's gonna be perfect for you. that's gonna help you improve. You're gonna have the most fun playing it, and it's just gonna be the best way to find your main. But if you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and go to the GameLeap website in the links down below, where we have a top 100 rated player breaking down in-depth advanced VOD reviews over every single agent. So you gotta go check it out right now if you really want to improve incredibly quickly. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. I love y'all faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.